Hello everyone. First of all, just wanted y'all to know that Miss Windsor and I really do miss y'all, seeing y'all every day and being able to teach y'all. And this is a crazy situation, but let's try to make the best of it. Today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials. We're going to use something called the bottoms up method. This bottoms up method is something we have to do when this number right here in front of the x squared is a number other than 1, or basically if you see a number here, then we're going to use the bottoms up. Now the first thing we're going to do is look to see if there's a GCF, see if there's a number or a letter that go into all three of these terms, but there is not a GCF. So now we're ready to go into what is called factoring by using bottoms up. The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I know what my A, my B, and my C are equal to. Well, my A is the number from in front of the x squared, so that's my A. My B is the number from in front of the x, and then my C is my constant, or it's the number without a variable. So my A equals 6, my B equals 7, and my C equals 1. Next step we're going to do is we're going to multiply whatever my A is times whatever my C is. Well, in this case, it's going to be a 6 times 1, and that's going to equal 6. Next, we need to list all of the factors of 6. When we do this, we're going to list each factor twice, or each set of factors twice. 1 times 6 equals 6, but again, I'm going to list that twice. 2 times 3 also equals 6, but I'm going to list that twice. Okay, so next, when I multiplied A times C, it gave me a positive number. If my A times C is positive, then I need both of these numbers to be the same sign. So I'm going to make the first set positive. The second set, I'm going to make both of those negative. The third set, 2 times 3, I'm going to make both of those positive. And then the next set is both negative. If this was a negative number, we'll have to do something a little different, and we'll do that in the next video. It basically is, the reason for it is this, because 1 times 6 will give me 6, but so will -1 times -6. That also equals 6. So that's why we have to list them twice and make both signs the same when this number right here is positive. Okay, so next, we're looking for the combination, which means addition, so we're no longer talking about multiplication. We're looking for the combination of these numbers that will give me a positive 7. Well, we got lucky on this one because the first set that we did, 1 plus 6 gives me 7. So we're going to put that inside of 2 sets of parentheses. We're going to use the variable that we started with, which was x, and then we're going to have x plus 1 and x plus 6. So I get these two numbers from whatever these two numbers are that we decided when I added them up gave me 7, and I used the signs that I wrote down here. Now, if this number right here was 1, then we would be finished right now, but it is not 1, it is another number other than 1, and in this case the number is 6. We're going to take that number and we're going to write it on the bottom of both of these numbers inside our parentheses. Next, we're going to see if these fractions will reduce, or if I divide them, if they give me a whole number. Well, 1 over 6 does not reduce, and 1 divided by 6 is going to give me a decimal. So that's when I'm going to use what's called the bottoms up. I'm going to take that 6, and I'm going to take it from the bottom, and I'm going to push it up next to that x. Next, I'm going to do the other set of parentheses. Well, 6 divided by 6 gives me 1. And that's a whole number, so that's what I'm going to write there. And that is my final answer. I am actually finished factoring 6x squared plus 7x plus 1, but I'd like for you to do one little step for me to kind of see if you could possibly be right. Now, if you wanted to completely check your answer, you could do the box method, 6x plus 1 times x plus 1, and when you did all of that, you would end up with 6x squared plus 7x plus 1. But I know you're not going to do all of that work, but do this one little trick for me. Do 6x times x. So do the first two terms multiplied times each other. In this case, 6x times x gives me 6x squared. Well, that is my first term here. So that means that I am probably right. It's not a definite, but it's a probability that you are correct. So if you'll take that little time to check that first two terms multiplied together, that's just a little way to see if you could be right. And in this case, we are correct. Next, we're going to do a video that when we multiply A times C, it gives me a negative number, because that's going to change my pattern of my positives and my negatives. So that'll be the next video that we do.